Alright, I thought I'd start off by talking about a little bit of strategy with playing some of these units. I'm going to start off with the Paratrooper. Now, a Paratrooper is an extremely valuable asset. They can drop in, they can get places a lot of other people can't or have a very hard time getting to or would take a long time to get there. Um, and what I find them extremely useful for is when the enemy has you totally shut down at one of the uh, one of the objectives. So, or a spawn point. Like if you're down to your very last spawn point and you just can't seem to get out because they got you surrounded and they're just wailing on you. If you have paratroopers available, for or paratrooper ATs available on that map at that time, this can save your ass. There's been numerous times when that has happened, especially on the airfield maps. That seems to be where it happens a lot. Where if you don't push out right away, you're pretty much screwed. The enemy's going to collapse down on you, and you're not getting out. But if you do have some paratroopers, you can jump in a plane, drop off to the next objective, and actually capture it. And that's going to force them to pull some of those people back to try to retake that. That's going to give your team a little bit of relief to get out. Um, Also, once you take it, you can hold it. Especially with my Thompson, I can hold an objective for a very long time by myself. Um, that Thompson is just ridiculous. Uh, the way I have it modified for rate of fire, yeah, I can just tear through people. The only thing I have to watch about is ammo. I will run through my ammo very quickly. That's why I have the scavenger badge. I can go pick up ammo. But paratroopers are very good at getting behind the enemy lines and getting places that it's very hard to get to. The enemy has a solid line of tanks and a bunch of infantry that you just can't get through or around. Well, go over them. That's the best thing. Also, they're very good at doing ambushes. Sometimes I'll just drop mine onto a building, onto the roof of a building somewhere where I know there's going to be enemy, and just sit there right at the top of right behind the peak of the building, and just unload on people. Now, I used to do that when I just had the grease gun, and it worked very well because I had a hell of a lot more ammo. It didn't go burn through it as quickly. With the Thompson, not so much. That's one drawback of the way I have my Thompson set up. I still love my Thompson. Uh, Also, one thing that I've learned from playing Paratrooper: do not trust when it says to exit the plane. That thing lies. It'll drop you on places that you had no intention of going. When you first pop into the plane, hit M, pull your map up. When the plane is basically one square away from your objective, drop. Now say your objective's in the middle of another square, well, drop in the middle of the square before you get to it. Just kind of eyeball it. Basically, if you drop one square away, you're going to land on it almost every time. Um, it'll take a little getting used to the feel for when to drop, but once you get it down, you'll see what I'm saying. It's definitely a better way to go. I don't know how many times that I used to just trust when that said to drop, and I would drop, and I'm like, why the hell am I on way the hell over here at this objective when I was trying to go to O2, and yet I'm way on A3. It's like, or A2. It's like, really, come on. So don't trust that. Don't trust that at all. That thing's buggy as hell. Um, they have improved it some. I still don't trust it. I still say use your map. You're way better off. Also, if you're using your map, um, like you cannot designate a one objective like A1, B1, etc. You cannot designate those as a drop. So what you do is you actually choose the second one, and then watch your map, and whenever you're flying over, a lot of times you'll fly like down the line that you're trying to drop on. So if you designate, let's say you're on the A line, you want to get to A1. If you designate A2, as you're flying down the line, you can look at your map, drop a square away, and actually land right on A1. A lot of people, I don't think a lot of people know that, because I see paratroopers hoofing it up to the last objective a lot. It's like, no, you can drop right on it if you just pay attention, use your map. Paratroopers working in pairs, especially with two of you with Thompsons, is almost unstoppable force. Once you get into an objective, you can lock it down fairly well. Even if you die, the two of you can take out 3 or 4 guys each, if not more. There's been times when me and my buddy Doopy were on our paratroopers on X1 on the mountain town, and we drop in, take the objective, and we would mow down 6+ guys each before they finally got us. And then as soon as they would retake it, we'd drop right back on it and take it back. And then they would have to send their troops. That let our guys actually get out of the, I believe we were, what is the one, the depot, O2 with the barn? Yeah, I believe it's O2. That let our guys get out of O2, across the bridge, and up to help us with X1, because they were having to send so many people to X1 to try to retake it, to try to stop us from taking it and to retake it back, that freed up those guys that were basically lined up just shooting anybody trying to come across the bridge. So paratroopers can be a very invaluable tool. Alright, tankers. Oh, I can go on for days about tankers, about how to use a tank properly. I talked briefly earlier about the Hellcat. I'm going to start there, because I think that's the tank that is used wrong the most. That is not a tank you want to just sit in one spot and go toe-to-toe with another tank. Don't do it. Yeah, you have a very good cannon, but that's not what that tank is designed for. That tank is designed for speed. If you notice, when you get in the Hellcat, that is a very fast tank. It even goes quick in reverse. Whereas the other tanks are it's like a snail. A snail could outpace you in some of those tanks, some of the other tanks going in reverse. The Hellcat's true specialty and its true advantage is the speed. You need to use that speed to your advantage. You need to keep moving, stop, shoot, move, stop, shoot, move, stop, shoot. When you see something, if you're going down a road, a fairly flat road, yeah, you can shoot on the move. And it's going to be hard for the other tanker to track you and hit you. There are some good guys out there that can. But the average Joe Schmo is going to have a hard time. If you're going through rough country, yeah, you definitely need to stop, then shoot, and then move again. Move instantly. As soon as you pull that trigger, you should be gunning it to get out of there. Another thing I see tankers not doing enough is using the terrain for cover. Using objects for cover. For instance, the other day I was playing on the airfield map, and it was a campaign match, and I was hiding my tank behind the crashed plane, just outside of the O1 hangar. I had 2 different tanks shooting at me, and neither one could hit me because they kept hitting that airplane. All that was sticking up was the top part of my turret, but I could shoot at them. And well, I could shoot at one of them. The other one I had to move out a little bit, shoot, and then move back because there was that building. There was a building kind of hiding him somewhat. But if I just moved out uh, 5 to 10 feet, shoot to where just like the first quarter, only a quarter of my tank was poking out, I could hit him. And they kept trying. It finally took one of them to sneak around behind me and shoot me in the ass with their tank to dislodge me out of there. Um, I see a lot of people sit their tanks on top of a hill. No, don't put it on the top of the hill. When you do that, you do what's called skyline yourself. Basically, if somebody's looking from down on the ground looking up, they can see the outline of your tank because of the sky behind you. You always want to be down a little bit on the slope, if you can, preferably with bushes and trees around you, or a big rock. Rocks are great. Rocks can camouflage a tank very well. So always try to hide your tank. Put it behind a building. Just kind of poke out, shoot, pull back behind the building. Big rock. Uh, Also on the airfield map, there's stacks of big logs. Those are great for a tank. Those are awesome for a tank. I love those things. I'll pull my tank up parallel to that and use those to protect myself. And I can lay down cover fire for a good part of the airfield. Because they're right there close to the airstrip. So you got a wide open field you can see stuff coming from. Let's see what else can I say about the tanks? Here's something that might help some people. When you're going to shoot at another tank, first of all, it does help to know the different types of tanks and the slopes and the armor and all that stuff, but it's not 100% necessary. You don't really need to know all that. It is good to know what you're facing, so you do need to kind of learn the shapes of them. But a good way to take out most tanks, shoot the track. Shoot towards the track. You're not going to get a deflection on the track, except for Stug. The German Stug, which is a medium tank destroyer, kind of like the Hellcat, but it's a hell of a lot slower, but it has a ton more armor. It's got these side skirts hanging down over the tracks, make it very hard to hit it that way. Take the track out. So even if so you got to watch out for angles and stuff like that. But normally, on most other tanks, you don't have to worry about that. So even if you're at an extreme angle, aim at the track. You almost never get a deflection that way, and it is going to do damage. Also, a lot of the light tanks, a good thing you can do is aim for the turret. A lot of the turrets don't have good slopes on them, and they're not as heavily armored as the rest of the tank. So hitting it in the turret is usually a good idea. There are a few that have, high angle slopes on them, but I'll leave that to you to find out, to figure all out. Alright, now we're back to the infantry. Infantry is the key to these games. One thing that pisses me off to no end is when you see what most people refer to as wood fairies. I hate wood fairies. Wood fairies are totally worthless. The only people that should be a wood fairy is a sniper. A sniper is a wood fairy. That should be the only one. If you don't know what I mean by wood fairy, let me explain. Wood fairies are all those guys that hide off in the woods, not trying to take objectives, not trying to do anything. They're hiding in the woods trying to snipe at people. If you are not a sniper, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. That's a sniper's job. That's not the average Joe's job. Average Joe is meat shield. He's the one that's supposed to run out there and take the bullets and deliver the bullets. He's supposed to be taking the objectives. He's supposed to defending the objectives. He's the one like me with a bazooka that needs to get in behind that tank and put two bazooka rounds right in its ass and blow it up. That's the infantry's job. The infantry is the main force. They're the ones that need to be out there, mixing it up. Another thing I need to say about infantry. Infantry does not protect the tanks as much as they should. This isn't always the case, but most of the time it is. In my experience, I've seen that Germany tends to protect their tanks a little bit better than the U.S. does. I wish the U.S. would take some cues from them. Some of the infantry guys would take cues from them and help. Me being a tanker a lot, I tend to protect other tanks that are around me. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm not rushing towards objectives and all that, but if I'm close to a tank and there's enemies around that I could shoot at or whatever, I will try to stay close to that tank, because there's been many a times I've saved a tank by killing, blowing up a Jeep, Kubel wagon, or shooting that guy that was running up with sticky grenade or a Panzerfaust or whatever. I've also been close to tanks before and seen another tank rolling up that tank didn't see. So I'd roll up behind that other tank and put two Zook rounds in his ass and kill him, and the other tank and our tank had no idea. I'm not looking for praise or anything. I'm there to win. The fact that I just saved that tank and let him keep putting fire onto the objective we're going after, that was good enough for me, especially if we take the objective. I can't really say a whole lot about pilots. I don't fly. I don't fly like I should. I mean, it's. I would like to get good at it, but I'm more boots on the ground type of guy. I've never been one for. Yeah, I like. There's a couple of flying games I like and stuff like that, but for the most part, like even in Battlefield games, I don't fly. I'd rather boots on the ground, mixing it up. That's my forte. I do have the pilot. I just don't use him. Now, if I'm going to go ahead and end it here in just a minute, but if anybody has any questions, I may or may not be able to answer it, but I will at least put forth a good effort. And if I don't know the answer, I will try to find out for you. So if you have any questions about Heroes and Generals, about how to play, even some tactics, I could go on for hours talking about the different tactics and stuff to utilize with each guy. I just went over some basics to try to give a new guy, new players, a little insight, and hopefully, maybe even help the vet out with, just a little trick or something, I will do something on the generals side of things some other time. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. So hopefully see you all later.